A message for the weak, the lame, the limp, the hopeless, the doubtful, the fearful. You who is weary. You who has a heart of gold. Your heart is after a highest. You is who I'm making this video for. Those who I feel I can resonate with, I am making this video for. I'm speaking to you. To the weakest. To those who are struggling, having a hard time, abandoned. Let's talk about what Ahaya has for you in the coming latter days. Because it's near, y'all. It's near. We are now living in that time of this scripture right here. Micah chapter 4. We're going to start at verse 1. Peaceful latter days. Verse 1. And it will come about in the last days that the mountain of the house of Ahiah will be established as the chief of the mountains, right? And it will be raised above the hills, and the peoples will stream to it, and many nations will come and say, "Come, and let's go up to the mountain of Ahiah, and to the house of the power of Jacob." See, that's when that beautiful temple was built, and them streaming, flowing waters is about, and Ahiah is resting in his abode, that beautiful house, that beautiful temple, that beautiful thought that Dawada or Dawi had for Ahiah when he thought first, who am I to sit in this beautiful home that I'm in, Ahiah? Who am I to sit in this and, you rest in a tent? He wanted to build a beautiful temple, beautiful home, so the world, the nations, the people of Yasharala can say, look at our Abba home. Look how beautiful it is. Look how it's decorated. Look how it's fancy. Look how it's honored. So that's that beautiful house of the power of Jacob. We're still in verse 2. Then it says, so that he may teach us about his ways. Ahiah may teach us about his ways, and that we may walk in his paths. For from Zion will go forth the law. Right? So that word, that message that shall be unto the people and from the nations shall go forth from Zion. So therefore, the kingdom of Dawada or Dawi shall be established, right? Now, in the word of Ahiah from Yerushalayim or Jerusalem, verse 3. And Ahiah will judge between many peoples and render or offer decisions for mighty, distant nations, right? He's going to offer decisions for them. Then they will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Pretty much they'll put them things down, in all this war. Then it says, nations will not lift a sword against nations, right? And never again will they train for war. So this is a time that we're coming into for right now. We see the war between Ukraine and Russia, right? So we know that's not a time for at this exact moment. But this is the sign of the times to come. Because it's time for us to get out of here. It's time for Daniel chapter 2 to take its course. Between the feet and the toes, the iron and the clay. The iron, which is the Amalekite Edomites kingdom, their fourth kingdom of man. And the clay, which is the nations who made alliances with the Amalekite Edomite, who are the Illuminati bankers, your Shivs, your Bilderbergers, your Rothschilds, etc., right? Verse 4. Instead, each of them will sit under his vine and under his fig tree, with no one to make them afraid, because the mouth of Ahiah of armies, or Ahiah of hosts, has spoken. Verse 5. Though all the peoples walk, right, each in the name of his idol. So, different people in walks of life will still, observe their idol, but Yasharala would be about Ahiah, right? Then it says, as for us, we will walk in the name of Ahiah, our power, forever and ever. Forever, ever, forever, ever. Yeah. Verse 6. On that day, declares Ahiah, I will assemble those who limp, those who are lame, weak, the weakest, not strong, tender, delicate, and gather the scattered, those whom I, Ahiah, have afflicted. Then Ahiah says, I will make those who limp weak, afflicted, lame, weary, doubtful, fearful, less, the least, not the majority, not the proud, not the strong, not the mighty, not the arrogant, not the prideful, but the meek, those who limp. Now you know what a limp is. When you walk with that limp, it slows you down, and you are looked as a lame one, a weakling. So this is the picture Ahiah is trying to paint for you. So Ahiah says, I will make those who limp a remnant, and those who have strayed a mighty nation, and Ahiah will reign over them on Mount Zion from now on and forever. I will make those who limp a remnant, and those who have strayed a mighty nation, and Ahiah will reign over them on Mount Zion from now on and forever. That's interesting now to me, very intriguing, for it to say, in those who have strayed a mighty nation. Y'all think that means flee? Is that another sign to flee? See, I'm going to go over Isaiah 60. One of my songs go like that. I'm going to read Isaiah 60 again. I may do another video on it, because Isaiah 60 talks about, us leaving from the daughter of Babylon, so-called America. And I want to get very familiar with that again and again to see if is there any kind of insinuating of fleeing or straying away in that chapter, Isaiah 60. If you guys read this, if you guys hear this and you read it before me, go ahead and let me know. Drop me a comment. Right? But I want to check that out. But I just want to talk to those who may feel lowly, weakened, incapable, who may have health problems, mental problems, physical problems, any kind of physical, mental, spiritual, emotional attribute that is possibly holding you back. Just want to let you know that Ahiah knows He knows everything. He is all-knowing. Just like when Ahia told Masha or Moses that, when you die, the people will turn from me and start serving other idols once they become prosperous and fat and full and feel there's no need of me, or they may feel content. Then they turn from me and start giving idols the credit. Same way he told Masha that beforehand. Ahia knows how you feeling beforehand. It's really time for us to come together, even though it's going to be a remnant. But this remnant, it's time for us to come together and start seeing eye to eye and start returning. Just like in Jeremiah chapter 3, Ahia says, return, faithless Yasharala. He says, return, faithless Yasharala. The remnant, we must come together, especially the weak ones, especially us who have situations in our life, who's not the strongest, the biggest, the toughest, the weakest, the lame, the limp, those who are doubtful, weary. Faith has grown weaker. I know it's more you out there. You're trying to resonate with things and people and situations, but you just can't. This video for y'all, man. I'm going to end it here. I'm trying not to do a 20, 30-minute video, but I'm going to end it here. If you guys see something in Isaiah 60 that gives you indications of fleeing, like it says right here, I'm going to read it again. I will make those who limp a remnant, and those who have strayed a mighty nation. I'll probably look at that in another translation. Let me hit this button. Let me see what it do. Oh, I ain't do nothing but light it up. Because I know in another translation it says, and those who I have strayed and turned them into a mighty nation. But drop something in the comments if you guys check that Isaiah 16 gives you any kind of indications. Until then, peace, y'all.